Hello, friends. This is April 14th, Tuesday, and you've reached Food for Thought. I'm Tonya Arnesen, Senior Pastor of Jackson First United Methodist Church, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this daily time of devotion. I confess I had a tough day yesterday. Easter Monday has always been Sabbath time for me. I take a much needed rest after the rigors of Holy Week, services on Palm Sunday and then Maundy Thursday and then Good Friday and often 2 or 3 services on Easter Sunday. Whew. Easter Monday has always been a time of reflection and celebration for me. The attendance was up. The music was glorious. My sermon really hit the mark. We had lots of first-time guests, and I think we probably made a good first impression. Instead, this Easter Monday, yesterday, I threw myself a pity party. For the first time in 25 years, I didn't lead worship on Easter Sunday. David and I watched it together on my laptop. We both cried. 2 weeks of mandated social distancing has stretched to 4 weeks, with another month to go, it looks like. I miss my wonderful, hard-working staff. I miss hanging out in the kitchen with our cooks and their helpers. I miss greeting people when they come into the building. I miss chatting with folk who pop into my office just to say hello. Believe it or not, I even miss the evening meetings. I miss my sense of freedom and the right to decide where and when I will go. I miss hanging out with my grandchildren. I miss the predictable rhythm of work and rest. I miss my old life. How about you? Last month, a wise friend reminded me the feelings I'm experiencing are a normal response to this abnormal pandemic. Acknowledge your feelings, she said. Honor them, but don't get stuck there. Good advice. But how do you move from our pity party to Easter hope? Here's where the hard work of hope begins. I'm not talking about baseless optimism. I'm not talking about a Pollyanna assumption that everything's going to turn out okay in the end. In some places and for some people, it will not. When Paul wrote to the church in Corinth, he pointed to a hope that can only come from the world being overturned by the death and resurrection of Jesus, hope that fills cracked clay jars and overflows from the broken places. For Paul, the suffering of the present moment is akin to carrying the death of Jesus around in our bodies so that we live out the life and resurrection of Jesus every single day. I encourage you to read this passage from 2 Corinthians chapter 4, the whole chapter today. I'll post a link on our memos here in a moment. Hope is choosing to live the resurrection in the face of death. Writer Elena Kleinbeck puts it this way: those of us who resolve to hope must regularly recalibrate our hopefulness to the reality around us and inside us. Hope demands honest confrontation of injustice and pain and suffering. It does not wallow, but rather works to change the story. In contrast, fear and despair reinforce stories of anxiety, scarcity, and the immutability of the present circumstances. Kleinbeck continues. Poet, pastor, lawyer, and activist Polly Murray writes in her poem, Dark Testament, hope is a song in a weary throat. Hope is a song in a weary throat. This throat in Murray's poem is wearied by the truthful confrontation of the forced immigration, enslavement, and ongoing oppression of African Americans. In telling the story of America's evils, Murray creates the conditions for hope. Hope begins when denial and resignation are laid aside. Hope becomes possible when the weary throats sing anyway. This resolve to sing anyway, to live the resurrection in the face of does not come easily. And I believe keeping this resolve to hope and not to despair should be a communal effort. We need to tell our stories of hope to one another. We need to share the ways that we have overcome incredible adversity, miraculous survival through combat, provision in a time of shortage and scarcity, faithfulness in the face of betrayal, escape from abuse, neighborly kindness in a time of need, open doors and shared resources, peace where there is violence. I invite you in this coming week to share your stories here on our church's Facebook page. Post a video clip and tell us your story. Write a few paragraphs. Let's do this hard work of hope together. There's no question this is a painful time in our world, but you and I can still choose hope in the face of our fear. We can cultivate hope in our lives through prayer and other devotional practices, through sharing our stories. Perhaps this present time of suffering can teach us how to live the resurrection anyway, how to sing anyway, how to hope anyway. My brothers and sisters, as you go through this day, be blessed, be well, know that you are beloved, and share your hope with someone who needs to hear that story. Amen.